Splatoon 3 has given us a ton of new weapons. Not only that, but it's given us two of the most technical classes we've seen in the series, those being the Stringers and Splataners. But only one of these two classes has seen prominent use throughout the game's lifespan. Why is that? Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think the Stringers are? Do you think they're attackers, support, or anchor weapons? Well, that's what I asked you all a few days ago. But hold on a minute, why is there a fourth option there? And what is kiting? Well, I guess that's what we're gonna find out today. Kiting weapons are known for their ability to go in and out between the enemy lines, whilst not only sniping but dealing AoE damage to anyone in the region. Because of this, they're able to take multiple angles alongside supporting the rest of their team no matter what weapon class they use. Whether that be staying in the rear like your backliner, or being in your face like an annoying sploosh. Now, do these abilities sound familiar to you? The ability to snipe, deal AoE damage, an extreme amount of object damage, and has enough movement speed to traverse around the map with no problems. The core aspects that make a kiting weapon can be found in all the Stringers, and that's not even mentioning all the buffs and nerfs Nintendo's given these weapons, which is aiming straight at the kiting playstyle. But if that's the case, why are people comparing the Stringers to an Explosia, or a Charger for that matter? And why is the kiting option on the poll so low? You know, I'm suspecting this might be because people just don't know what kiting weapons are. Look how many people just use them for AoE spam. Please stop doing that. All three Stringers are quite capable of being kiting weapons, but due to the kiting playstyle not being that well known within the Splatoon community, a lot of players just see them as AoE spammers. So, because of this, I feel like we need to nerf some things and buff others, alongside giving them a new kit that will cement them in the kiting playstyle that these weapons want to use. Alright then, let's start with the Reef-Lux. The Reef-Lux has high movement speed and paint output, along with having great accuracy and a really good spread as a short-range stringer, showing that the Reef-Lux is designed to be a mobile kite that is built to hold down areas behind enemy lines. Both kits also seem to agree with this playstyle, with the vanilla one utilizing curling bomb for higher mobility, along with Tenta missiles, which gives the Reef-Lux the ability to move opponents, allowing for the ability to kite from a ton of different angles. And out of all honesty, the Reef-Lux deco isn't that much different from what the vanilla kit wants to do. Paired with wall and reef slider, you can use this to set up areas way into enemy turf, using wall to protect yourself and Reef-Lux to give you an escape route, even more so now that it's got the paint trail along its rails. Honestly, I'd say Reef-Lux is in a pretty good spot as a mobility kite. It also comes with a sizable amount of weaknesses and strengths when it comes to both its mobility and range, so I don't really see a reason why this weapon would need to be nerfed or buffed. Personally, I think it just needs a different kit, so that way it has a different angle that it can fight on. Let's give it Ink Mine and Crab Tank. Hold up. Don't start panicking yet, don't start panicking. There's a reason for this. Reef-Lux can use the Ink Mine to be able to set up areas behind enemy lines and lock them down. And Crab Tank can make up for the Reef-Lux's weakness in range. Now, the reason why I didn't give the Reef-Lux a painting bomb is because there'd be too many Crab Tanks. I mean, look at Splashomatic. Overall, this kit will make Reef-Lux lose a bit of its mobility, but in the end, it'll increase its power to hold down an area and support its team in a lot more fights. So, it's a trade-off really, but it will increase the ability for the Reef-Lux to kite off enemies. Alrighty, next up, the Tri-Stringer. If you want my honest opinion, the Tri-Stringer seems to just be an all-rounder kiting weapon, with the added benefit of exploding shots. Believe it or not, exploding shots on a kiting weapon isn't that uncommon. But as you can probably guess, the biggest downside to exploding shots on a kiting weapon is that new players tend to just spam it. But I don't think we can nerf the Tri-Stringer in any way without injuring the weapon in the process. So here's two pieces of advice to deal with new players just spamming AoE. Advice number 1, paint over them. A stringer needs to move. If it can't move, it's stuck, but it's still a threat. Advice piece number 2. If you haven't noticed, the stringer can only have its projectiles out one at a time. So if you see its projectiles on the stage, going for the attack because there's not enough time for it to charge up again. This works for all except the Reef-Lux and the Wellstring on its first level charge. Anyway, let's move on to what kit we should give it. Personally, I think Torpedo and Inkjet would work great on the Tri-Stringer. Torpedo would not only just help with location, whilst also dealing damage to enemies behind cover, allowing for the main weapon to do its job more efficiently. And Inkjet will help for the areas that Tri-Stringer can't really push, along with self-defense and the ability to combo with the main weapon in some ways. This kit allows for quite the synergy between the sub, special, and main weapon, making this probably one of the best, if not the best kit for the Tri-Stringer, especially in terms of kiting capability. Now onto the Destroying Kite. That packs quite the punch. Not only that, but Wellstring has an inverse shot, which is also something that you can find on kiting weapons. The efficiency's not overly great, but it can hold its own ground in a 1v4 if it needs to. The vanilla kit is built purely for defense, having Auto Bomb and Ultra Stamp for its kit. Honestly, at first, I thought Well was gonna be better with something like Kraken, but after messing around with the vanilla kit, I feel like Stamp is just way better. Having the ability to cancel out of your special early is definitely something that helps. And auto bombs are quite useful for painting, tracking players, and just moving the enemy out into the open so you can deal damage to them. But I can't really say the same thing for the custom kit, even if the competitive scene does have their eyes on it, though this probably does more so come from the view of a casual player. Tracking plus tracking, and no defense. No paint, only tracking. Yeah, that's not a great kit for a kiting weapon. Now, it's not unheard of for a kiting weapon to have tracking capabilities, but normally they're only reserved for fights where it exceeds 30 players, which is never gonna happen in Splatoon. My only guess with this kit is that the devs wanted players to use opening gambit, which might not be that bad of an idea, due to the amount of run and swim speed that's beneficial to run on a stringer. But then again, opening gambit is opening gambit. When it comes to abilities, mobility is higher than any ink saver on a kite. The ability to move around is just way more beneficial. Now, I do want to give this weapon some nerfs and buffs. I'd like to reduce the amount of shots that the Wellstring has. I'd also like to increase the amount of time that it takes for the second level of charge to be completed. Not by much, but just enough to tone down the AoE spam. Now, this shouldn't affect good kiting players too much, but it would still hinder them. So let's buff it in a way that awards the good kiting players. Let's make the first charge quicker, and how about we increase its mobility speed? By doing this, we should be able to eliminate AoE spam, while still awarding the good kiting players, making it easier to go in and out between the enemy lines, like what the kite wants. Now for the kit. I'll be honest with you here, it was not easy to come up with one for Wellstring, but I think this is probably the best it could get. Fizzy Bomb and Tacticooler. Fizzy Bombs would allow for poking, painting, and just that bit more mobility that Wellstring wants. And then there's Tacticooler. I've seen most players want to give Wellstring a crab, but out of all honesty, unlike the Dualies or the Splashomatic, I don't see how this would be too helpful for a weapon that can already pretty much do what crab does. So instead, I'll give it Tacticooler for two reasons. The first reason is that Wellstring likes to use a lot of run and swim speed. Having Tacticooler on its kit eliminates this issue, well, at least for some parts of the map. And the second reason is to challenge Snipe Rider. Not only does Wellstring outrange Snipe, but it will make it move, thanks to its one-shot and its AoE damage. Not only that, but Wellstring's positions would be way more beneficial for Tacticooler due to the capabilities of Wellstring being in the front line and also in the rear, thanks to it being a kite, meaning Tacticooler will have even more value on it than most other weapons in the game. To believe, a poll is what led me to making this video. Upon realizing just how many people didn't know about kiting, I really couldn't help myself from explaining this. Just seeing weapons that support a rare playstyle that I love to use in a game that I love to play is quite something, really. I just hope the player base will give kiting a try, and maybe stop playing stringers for their AoE spam. But still, I do wonder, is the reason kiting wasn't chosen because more people believed the stringers weren't kites? Or was it that no one knew what a kite was?